Wife wakes up to find her husband gone without a trace. Confused and heartbroken, she tries to contact him but fails. As the day progresses, she realizes not only has he left her, but their joint bank accounts are emptied, and important documents are missing from their home office. The morning sun spilled its golden light through the cracks in the curtains, casting a warm glow across the bedroom. Christine stirred from her sleep, reaching out for Justin, but her hand found only the cold, empty space beside her. She sat up, blinking the sleep from her eyes, her heart beginning to race. The other side of the bed was neatly made, an unusual occurrence that instantly filled her with a sense of unease. She called out, "Justin?" Her voice echoed through the silent house, met with no response. Christine's heart sank. This wasn't like him. Justin, her husband of 7 years, was a creature of habit, always leaving a note if he had to go out early. But today, there was nothing, no note, no text, no trace. With a growing sense of dread, Christine slid out of bed and walked through the house. The silence was oppressive, each room emptier than the last. The pictures of them together on the walls seemed to mock her with their frozen smiles. She checked her phone again, still no messages. In the kitchen, she found the coffee maker cold and unused. His keys were gone from the hook by the door, his wallet and phone missing from the counter where he always left them. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Returning to their bedroom, Christine noticed something even more unsettling. The drawer where they kept important documents, birth certificates, marriage license, financial records, was ajar. Heart pounding, she pulled it open. It was almost empty. Panic gripped her. What was happening? She tried calling Justin's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Her mind raced with possibilities, each more frightening than the last. Had something happened to him? Or had he left her? But why? They hadn't been fighting, there were no signs of unhappiness. The reality of the situation began to sink in. He had left her. But why like this? Why without a word? Christine sat down at the kitchen table, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and hurt. She thought back over the past few weeks, searching for any signs she might have missed. There was nothing out of the ordinary, just the mundane routine of their daily life. Feeling a desperate need for answers, Christine decided to investigate. She started with their finances. Logging into their online banking, her heart dropped. The accounts were nearly empty. Thousands of dollars gone. It didn't make any sense. Justin wasn't the type to gamble or make impulsive purchases. They were saving for a vacation, for a future. The betrayal hit her like a physical blow. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she fought them back. She needed to be strong, to understand the full extent of what had happened. She printed out the bank statements, her hands shaking. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. She called her best friend, Lisa, who came over immediately. Together, they pored over the bank statements and the few remaining documents, trying to piece together the puzzle. By the end of the day, Christine knew one thing for certain: Justin hadn't just left her, he had deceived her, perhaps for a long time. And she was determined to find out why. With Lisa's. The morning light filtered through the blinds of Diane's office, casting long stripes across the room. Christine sat across from her, a steaming cup of coffee in hand, feeling a mix of apprehension and resolve. Today, they would be meeting with a potential ally, someone who could provide critical insight into Justin's dealings. His name is Robert Clayton. He's an ex-financial investigator, now working as a consultant. If anyone can find where Justin funneled your money, it's him, Diane explained, checking her watch. He should be here any minute. The door opened, and a man in his early 50s entered. He had a sharp, analytical look about him, his eyes keen and observant. After brief introductions, they got down to business. Christine watched as Diane and Robert discussed the case, the room filled with a palpable intensity. Robert listened intently, occasionally asking pointed questions. When they finished, he leaned back, his gaze fixed on Christine. "This isn't going to be easy," Robert said frankly. "The companies involved are shell corporations, designed to hide the money trail. But I've dealt with similar cases. I'm confident we can uncover something actionable." Christine felt a surge of hope. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "Any personal information about Justin could be helpful. Habits, routines, contacts. Sometimes the smallest detail can break a case wide open," Robert replied. Over the next few days, Christine found herself diving into the memories of her life with Justin, searching for anything that might be relevant. She recounted stories to Robert and Diane, detailing business trips, casual mentions of colleagues, even seemingly inconsequential habits. Robert listened to every detail, taking meticulous notes. Meanwhile, the forensic accountant had made progress. He had traced some of the money to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands, linked to one of the shell corporations. However, the trail went cold there. "The key is to find the real people behind these corporations," Robert said during one of their strategy meetings. "Shell companies are just a front. We need to uncover the individuals pulling the strings." As they delved deeper into the investigation, Christine found herself at the center of a network of support. Diane's legal expertise, Robert's investigative skills, and the accountant's financial acumen formed a formidable team. Christine contributed her intimate knowledge of Justin, painting a picture of a man she thought she knew. It wasn't long before their efforts started to bear fruit. A breakthrough came when Robert managed to connect one of the shell companies to a known white-collar criminal, a man with a history of fraud and embezzlement. "This could be our link to Justin," Robert announced during a meeting. "This individual has been on the radar of law enforcement for a while. If we can prove a connection between him and Justin, it could blow this case wide open." The morning of the preliminary hearing dawned clear and bright, a stark contrast to the turmoil in Christine's heart. Today would be the first time she would see Justin since he vanished, the day she would confront him in a court of law. Her emotions were a tumultuous mix of dread, anger, and a desperate need for closure. Diane's office was a flurry of activity as they prepared for the day ahead. Documents were rechecked, arguments rehearsed, and strategies refined. Christine, dressed in a somber suit, tried to steady her nerves, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "You're ready for this," Diane reassured her, offering a supportive smile. "Remember, today is about setting the stage. We lay out our case, show the court we mean business." The courtroom was imposing, its walls echoing with the weight of justice. As Christine entered, she felt every eye upon her. She took her seat, her gaze fixed on the defendant's table, where Justin sat, looking markedly different from the man she remembered. His confident demeanor was replaced by a look of apprehension, his eyes avoiding hers. The judge entered, and the room fell into a respectful silence. The hearing began with the usual formalities, then moved swiftly to the heart of the matter. Diane was the first to speak, laying out their case with precision and clarity. She spoke of the missing funds, the shell companies, and the link to known criminals. Her words were like arrows, each one hitting its mark. Christine watched Justin as Diane spoke. He seemed unnerved, his lawyer whispering in his ear, his face a mask of barely concealed anxiety. It was clear he had underestimated Christine's resolve to seek justice. Then, it was the defense's turn. Justin's lawyer portrayed him as a successful businessman, arguing that the investments were legitimate and that Christine was overreacting to a simple misunderstanding. But the evidence Diane presented was compelling, and the lawyer's arguments seemed to fall flat. As the hearing progressed, Christine felt a growing sense of empowerment. For months, she had felt like a victim of Justin's deceit. But here, in this courtroom, she was taking back control. She was no longer just reacting to his actions, she was confronting them head-on. A key moment came when Diane presented the evidence uncovered by Robert. The connection between Justin and the known criminal was a bombshell, sending murmurs through the courtroom. Christine saw Justin's composure crack, his facade beginning to crumble. The judge listened intently, occasionally asking pointed questions. As the hearing drew to a close, he announced that the case would proceed to trial, citing the seriousness of the allegations and the evidence presented. As they left the courtroom, Christine felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. The road ahead would be long and undoubtedly painful, but today was a victory. She had stood up to Justin, had faced him and his lies in a court of law. Diane placed a reassuring hand on Christine's shoulder. "This is just the beginning," she said. "But you were incredible in there. We have a long fight ahead, but I believe we can win this." In the weeks following the preliminary hearing, Christine and her legal team worked tirelessly to strengthen their case. The discovery of the link between Justin and the known criminal had opened new avenues of investigation, and they pursued each lead with relentless determination. Christine found herself immersed in a world she never knew existed, a world of hidden assets, offshore accounts, and shadowy figures operating on the fringes of legality. With each new revelation, her resolve to see Justin held accountable only grew stronger. The trial date approached rapidly, and the atmosphere in Diane's office was one of focused intensity. Christine spent long hours with Diane and Robert, going over testimonies and evidence, preparing for every possible scenario they might face in court. On the first day of the trial, the courtroom was packed. The story had caught the attention of the media, and reporters jostled for space, their cameras flashing. Christine took her place, feeling a strange sense of calm amidst the chaos. She was ready to face Justin, ready to confront the lies and betrayal. The prosecution's case was methodical and damning. Diane presented a detailed timeline of Justin's activities, supported by financial records and witness testimonies. The evidence of his involvement in the illegal investment scheme was overwhelming, painting a picture of a man driven by greed and deception. One of the most dramatic moments came when a key witness, a former associate of Justin's, took the stand. Under oath, he revealed the full extent of Justin's involvement in the scheme. His testimony was a turning point in the trial, eliciting gasps from the courtroom as he detailed the sophisticated methods Justin had used to hide his activities. Justin's defense team countered with arguments about business risks and market pressures, but their case was weak in the face of the prosecution's evidence. Justin himself took the stand, portraying himself as a misunderstood entrepreneur, but his words rang hollow, his explanations evasive and unconvincing. Throughout the trial, Christine remained a pillar of strength. She listened to every word, every piece of evidence, her presence in the courtroom a silent testament to her determination. She was no longer just a wronged wife, she was a key player in bringing a criminal to justice. As the trial neared its conclusion, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. When the jury retired to deliberate, Christine felt a surge of nervous anticipation. The hours dragged on, each minute stretching into an eternity. Finally, the jury returned. The foreman stood, his voice steady as he read the verdict, guilty on all counts. A wave of relief washed over Christine. Justice had been served. In the aftermath of the trial, as the reporters clamored for comments and the crowd slowly dispersed, Christine felt a profound sense of closure. The journey had been long and painful, but she had emerged stronger, more resilient. She thanked Diane and Robert for their unwavering support and dedication. As she walked out of the courthouse, she felt the weight of the past months lift from her shoulders. The future was uncertain, but she faced it with a newfound sense of confidence and hope.